All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Brawley City Council successor agency, the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency. Regular meeting agenda for October 17th at 6 p.m. here at the City Council chambers. If we can have the roll call, please.
The minutes will reflect that all the council members are present.
Thank you. All right, if you could please rise. Our invocation today by Council Member Donnie Wharton.
All please stand, if you may, and bow our heads. We gather to make our decisions for our community, and may we use our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us. And may we always act in accordance with the best for our community and our fellow citizens. All these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And Councilmember Hamby, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Certainly. Face the flag. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, gentlemen. How's everyone doing tonight? It's a full house. It's good. All right. All right, so next is on the agenda, the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is public appearances and comments not to exceed 4 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the City Council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. The mayor will recognize you when you come to the microphone. Please state your name for the record. You're not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. Is there anyone here who would like to make a comment on any item not appearing on the agenda? All right, there is.
Good evening, honorable council members, Mr. Mayor Nava Pro Tem Castro. My name is Christine Perez, the past president of the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Brawley. With the 67th annual Cattle Call Jamboree right around the corner, this is a very exciting time for our community. The amount of work and coordination that the Chamber puts into these community events is immeasurable. Yet events like these would not be possible without the support of the dedicated staff of the City of Brawley, whose unwavering commitment and hard work makes events like Cattle Call possible year after year. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to you and all to express our appreciation. The Brawley Chamber of Commerce is excited to host the first annual Cattle Call Appreciation Luncheon on October the 28th of 2023. For Chamber volunteers, city staff, this is including Park and Recs, Public Work, Police, Fire, and City Council, that work diligently to ensure these events are a success. So we thank you for your outstanding efforts in helping making our community thrive. I'm here on behalf of our CEO, Ramiro. He wasn't able to make it this evening, so I'm here on his behalf to make sure that we're extending out the invitation to you all. We would love to have you come out there with your public works and your recs and et cetera, staff to come out and join us for lunch. So I'm going to go ahead and hand these flyers over here to Councilmember Hamby, and he can pass them out to you guys. So if you have any questions, you get a hold of me or you get a hold of Ramiro there at the Chamber. We hope you guys can make it out.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. We do appreciate the acknowledgement of staff and the appreciation. We value the partnership, so thank you very much.
Yes, of course. We
And,
couldn't do it without you guys. You guys
very
have
much.
your public works out there helping us till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and we definitely appreciate that. So
Thank you
for our
again.
gratitude, we want to invite you out for lunch.
No, we look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a public comment? Looks like there is.
There is.
All right.
Good evening.
That time of year again, right?
It's
Yeah,
that time of
there you
year,
go.
guys. My name is Dana Mendoza. I am the president of the Brawley Cattle Call Royalty Association. A couple of weeks ago, we were able, we held our competition. We had it here, the horsemanship here in Brawley, and then we held and hosted the dinner at the St. Mary's Parish Hall in El Centro. It was a fantastic turnout, and we had a great competition. And these young ladies that are here before you are our current reigning queens. Before I introduce you to these lovely ladies, I just want to let you know we will be submitting paperwork for this year's 5th annual brisket cook-off that we had last year here. It was a great success. This year we're working on some national sanctioning for our barbecue, the brisket cook-off. One of the things that is kind of exciting is because it'll just be promoted basically nationwide. So there'll be teams coming from everywhere, which is exciting. We've had typically about 5 to 8 teams. And so we'll be submitting that paperwork. Keep your eye out for it. I think it's going to be a really big deal this year, and that's set for January 20th.
All right.
So without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce the 2023 court. We have, let's start with Amelia Morales. She's our 2023 Little Miss. Come on. Our 2023 Junior Queen is Miss Savannah Hernandez.
All right.
Our 2023 Teen Queen is Miss Callista Lopez. And the beauty that is going to reign over this year's rodeo is none other than my friend, Adria Mascarenas.
All right.
Quick pictures before we go.
Sure, absolutely. We'd love to. Absolutely. Let's get up there. Let's look our best. Try to look as good as they do.
Yeah.
You know?
Good luck.
Yeah, right?
That won't happen.
That's not going to happen. Ladies, how are you? How's it going?
Hi.
How are you?
Hello, nice to meet you. Adria, thank you. Adria, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Come on in. Get in there. Right here. Let's squeeze in over here. Keep going. There we go.
Keep going. All right, here, I got it.
Big smiles. We're trying.
That's the only one to use.
Big round of applause. Thank you very much. Would they like to share any thoughts?
Go ahead.
You know?
Sure.
Really? Really? Okay, it's good.
Open mic night.
Yeah, go for it.
Don't take it.
I won't.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adria Mascarenas, and I am the 2023 Brawley Cattle Call Queen. I'm so excited for this year. I'm so thrilled. I'm excited to see you guys all at the parade and at the rodeo. And yeah, let's get this year started.
All right, fantastic. All right.
Hi, my name is Callista Lopez, and I'm your 2023 Brawley Cattle Call Teen Queen. I would just like to say that it's been a great experience. This is my 3rd year. I've been your guys' 2018 Brawley Cattle Call Little Miss and 2020 Brawley Cattle Call Junior Queen, and it's just been such a great experience overall, and I'm so excited for the rodeo this year.
All right. Let's get that mic down. Luke, can you help? There we go. There we go. All right.
Hello, my name is Savannah Hernandez. I'm your 2023 Brawley Cattle Call Junior Queen, and I am proud to be your 2023 Junior Queen, and I'm excited for this year and all the events in the rodeo.
All right.
Hello.
There we go. You got it.
Hello, my name is Amelia Morales. I am your 2023 Brawley Cattle Call Little Miss, and it's been such an exciting year for me. It was so fun. I met new people and new friends, and I'm so excited for the rodeo this year.
All right. Well, congratulations. Well, ladies, thank you all very much for coming in. We appreciate you. You look fantastic. You're fantastic representatives of Brawley, so thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right, is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment on any item not appearing on the agenda? There is none. All right, so we'll close that section of the agenda, and we're going to move on. The next is a presentation, item 2B, presentation to provide update of the Rancho Los Lagos potential annexation project. presented by Grady Dutton, project consultant for the city of Brawley, and Laura Vandaway, project developer. Were they giving you a hard time, Chief, back there? Is that what they were doing?
Chief was gonna
He was
present
going
it.
up, yeah, right. I thought he was gonna annex, you know.
Hijack the agenda.
He's motivated. You gotta do it, you know? He's on fire, you know? It's like, all right, he's on fire. All right.
Grady Dutton. First, I'd just like to say that's a tough act to follow.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah, I agree.
We're next, right? I'll keep mine real brief. First, I want to thank you for actually selecting me back in April to work with your city staff on the Rancho Los Lagos proposed annexation. It's been a great project so far. My only comment from the city standpoint is that it's going very well in terms of communication, the coordination between, really, we've met with all the other agencies, LAFCO on the annexation, IID, Caltrans, the railroad, everyone, and we expect great things out of this. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to the Rancho Los Lagos team, and I'll be here if you have any questions at all about what I'm doing or what the city's doing. Please don't hesitate.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you so much, honorable city council members, mayor, Laura Benson Vandaway. And it's 2 years ago this month that we last gave our city council presentation, and that was on 2 projects. And I'm very proud to say, thank you for those of you who attended our ribbon cutting, that one of those projects is no longer a project, it's a reality. And that was on Indy Dwell. So very proud to bring up a key member of the project team here tonight, Tom DeBose, who you all know very well, to discuss all of the great progress that we've made also on Rancho Los Lagos. And that annexation project, I do want to comment and congratulate the incredible team that you've built here at the City of Brawley. There's no question in my mind that you know, we will make great strides together working on this project as a catalyst to further develop the exciting opportunities that we have before us. So, Tom, if you want to take it away, and he will be giving an update on all of the various aspects of the project that we want to share with you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Grady. Honorable Mayor, members of council, Tom DeBose, DeBose Design Group. One of the many consultants for the Rancho Los Lagos team and the Benson and Jameson families who own that property and have owned it for a long time. Just a quick summary. I know every once in a while somebody will ask me, where is that project? And so you could see the location of it, reminding you that this is still an approved project in the county of Imperial. It was approved back in 2012. The tentative map and the specific plan in the county is still alive. But we really need to annex it. And going back to a very early meeting that we had, and some of the council members spoke up and said, why not annex? And that was exactly our sentiments. And so that's why we're going through the process today. So that's the location of the project. Next is, again, this is a specific plan area. Again, it is a valid current specific plan in the county. We will now be attempting, and through the process, annexing that, along with renewing a tentative map with some very minor modifications to your city standards as well as the specific plan. So that's the location there. Again, you can kind of see the circulation, the streets, the highways, Highway 86, Highway 111, you know, where this all kind of fits in the overall grid. That is the layout. It doesn't really highlight the golf course that's a part of this project, but in that area that's open space, there's a 18-hole golf course that would be developed. But in this particular map, I've highlighted 3 particular areas. Actually, there's a 4th that I didn't highlight, but I will discuss. And that's just some of the minor changes that we're making from this tentative map in the county, now bringing it into the city of Brawley. You'll see the 3 red circles on the right-hand side. The upper one is a location where the current approved map shows Jameson Road that would connect to Dogwood Road. We're removing that. That's, in our opinion, in 2023, not the best location to make that connection. And so coming to the center, what will be called Benson Road will be the road, one of 2 roads that would connect to Dogwood through coming into the project and going out to Dogwood Road. Again, on the right-hand side, next to Dogwood, between Dogwood and the Union Pacific Rail Track, is the industrial business park. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. And then coming all the way to the south is the area that was approved for a overpass of Lavender Road to go over the railroad. We are going to be requesting through the CPUC and Union Pacific one at-grade crossing. There was an at-grade crossing up at Jameson originally. We're moving it south. And then an above overpass to go over the railroad there at Lavender. It works there for distance and getting back down to ground elevation so that the intersection at Dogwood will work. But those are the areas that are minor modifications to what we're doing. The other minor modification is we're starting in the northeast corner on the residential, and so the extension of Western Avenue will come through. And then we'll delay a little bit over on the west, the main entrance that would come off of Highway 86. I will just show you that that's the overpass design, and so it kind of, not wanting to get down in the weeds with you all here tonight, but this is what we're working on with staff and with other agencies, UP, again, CEP, UC, and the IID, but that's kind of what that would look like. But the other is that intersection that comes off of Highway 86. And more than likely, we're going to be asking Caltrans to reduce the median because we need to have a little bit more space to have a decel lane for the east northbound 2 lanes coming into Brawley. Again, we're working and coordinating with Caltrans and working with the IID. In fact, we had a meeting with the IID today to discuss exactly how we make this crossing, and does the central main need to remain there or have any other improvements, or is there any consideration of relocation? Those are all topics that we're dealing with the IID, but just giving you kind of that snapshot. In the industrial park, it was originally labeled as a business park. It's really a business and industrial park. But what we're going to do that's different from the county approval is we're going to change the industrial zone so that there's some M2 zoning in here as well as M1. If you were to look at the city of Brawley's zoning map today and look for industrial, it's all M1. The only M2 that we had was where the beef plant sits today. With all of the activity and all the excitement that's going on with Lithium Valley and the biofuel projects in Mesquite Lake and the onshoring, nearshoring coming into the gateway down by Calexico East, with all of this activity, we think, especially in the north end, that there might be a need, and we want the flexibility, not for just the development, but for the city to have some additional M2 zoning. And so the analysis that's going to be reviewed environmentally, we'll look at and we'll ask for your consideration of an approval of both M1 and M2. Finally, with all of this activity going on, that's going to produce thousands of construction jobs for the next 5, probably 10 years. All of that workforce has got to have a place to stay, because whereas we hope that as many people locally get hired for these jobs, and that will happen, it's going to need to have a lot of people who come from out of town who are specialists in these particular areas. Today we have one particular company who's looking at alternative sites, but there's no question that with all of the workforce that will be coming to the Imperial Valley, work on all these projects, geothermal, mineral mining, battery plants, all of that, they're going to need a place to live. They're going to want to rent a hotel, except that there's not a lot of rooms available to rent today. They're going to want to rent a house or an apartment, except the vacancy is not, we're full. And so we're going to have alternatives, and we are going to be requesting you to consider in the specific plan an allowed temporary use for a period of time so that we could accommodate the workforce that's coming in with all of the excitement of Lithium Valley and the other projects that are coming into the Imperial Valley. So that's really what this is about. There's 2 locations that we've identified, but through the process, we'll make final decisions and termination exactly what it looks like, what the plan and the specifications would be, what would be the allowed, what would be the timing and all of that. We're working with your staff to get there. But it is our intention to accommodate the excitement, because at the end of the day, all of this isn't going to get developed unless there's not a place for them to live while they work or to live when they permanently work here. And I think the city of Brawley is putting yourself in a great position to be able to accommodate the workforce that all of this development is going to bring to the Imperial Valley. So I think that's it. And other than if you have any questions, we just wanted to give you those updates as we work through the process.
Certainly, thank you for providing them. Are there any questions or any comments from the city council?
Yeah, Mr. DeVoe, yeah, I recall being the one that asked that question, why are we not annexing? I also brought up a few other comments that I wanted to see, and I was hoping to get that in the presentation today, was how we are looking to develop the site in ways that would cost the city much less to maintain going forward. And the other question is just when you build these bridges, will they be the county's responsibility to maintain or the city's?
Okay, I'll try to tackle both of those. Your staff and us, we are working with the alternative of looking at maybe some reduced overall long-term maintenance, and that's a consideration that we're going through the process. Doing a specific plan would allow us to create that new ordinance in regards to your design guidelines, and so that's a topic very alive on the table. We're working through that right now, and so again, we're not to that finish line yet, but that's being considered definitely. To your second point, and I did fail to mention this, you know, one of the other agencies that Grady and the city is doing is working with the ICTC. ICTC has been looking at these overpasses or rail crossings and how do we reach funding for that. You know, in the Mesquite Lake specific plan and the traffic study and the fees that are for that particular project, Lavender Road is the most northern road in that particular element. And so we've already met with the ICTC to discuss this. We're going to continue to work with them because really, whereas that is going to be a road as a part of Rancho Los Lagos, but it's also part of the circulation of not just Brawley, but the county. And so, again, that's a process that we'll work through to determine if we can get some assistance for some of that funding. We are a definite target today for a lot of funding agencies because of the Lithium Valley and all of that, where maybe the best opportunity that we've had is out there with agencies begging us to apply. And so these will be one of the things that we'll be applying for.
Again, thank you very much. Any questions?
Just a quick one. And thank you, Tom. Pretty informative, obviously. Just timing again? Sounds like everything's moving along fairly well. Just what's next? You think coming up within the next year?
So we're wrapping up project description and details, such as some of the questions you've asked, so that we can have the environmental team that the city of Brawley has hired finalize a draft document and eventually get it to the point where we go out to the public and it starts to get circulated. This is going to take, you know, another 6, 8, 9, 10 months. You know, we can't control that. You know, the comments through the process drive a lot of that. But just rest assured that as we march towards getting ready to go to the Planning Commission, we plan to hold a workshop with your Planning Commission so that they have a little bit of advance knowledge and information about what we're trying to do, as well as having one with you as the City Council. We're not expecting you to get this large environmental document and another large specific plan document with all of these tentative map pages to review it before a council meeting. So we'll be coming back to you to make those presentations. But, you know, probably next summer or maybe this time next year is when we'll be to the finish line.
Tom, correction, we do like reading that stuff, so send it our
we
way.
read it, we are ours all the time.
I do want to make it, no, very helpful. And we have gone through, I mean, the Rancho Porter annexation was, of a decent size. This is obviously, equally exciting, but knowing these things do take time, so I was very hopeful. I was hoping you would say that we're looking at something within the year that we can help. Very good. That's all I have.
One last thing I will say is, and I'll say this on behalf of the Benson and Jameson families and the Rancho Los Lagos team, Brawley is a great place to do this kind of business. And so we really appreciate working with the staff and the opportunity.
We appreciate you sharing that sentiment. We do appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the presentation. Grady, Laura, Tom, thank you all very much. Look forward to seeing this develop and finalize. Thank you again. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on the agenda to item 2C, presentation for introduction of the City of Brawley Fire Department's newest full-time firefighters, presented by Chief Michael York. Chief York, and actually a really good thing that you were able to see that, because that's a potential service area that you'll be having to cover at some point in the future, right? So, right?
Actually, if you zoom in on that map, there is a little portion already carved out for a potential future fire station number 3, and that's been a lot of the discussion that we've had with their consultants, and they're a great team to work with.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Chief.
Yep.
All right.
Come on up, guys. So today is a really wonderful day for the Brawley Fire Department. As the council's aware, we approved the hiring of full-time firefighters to, you guys, no one knows what to do.
They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do.
You guys are good.
We're like, where's the fire?
Don't do anything else. You already look good enough.
They're good with fires.
Yeah, right.
I put them on the spot after the young ladies from the cattle call court. I said, you guys are going to have to make a speech like that. So
right,
right.
And the calendar, again, we said the calendar is back on now.
Yeah, there we
How
go.
you hired these guys?
Anyways, thank you so much. So these are the first 4 of our hires. We do have one more left that we posted again today, but tonight I would like to present to you our 4 newest full-time firefighters. Firefighter Richard Chavez, Firefighter Rogelio Espinoza, Firefighter Seth Melendez, and Firefighter Jonathan Sabater.
All right. Fantastic.
So we did their swearing in this morning. They affirmed their oath of office. They had the opportunity for their families to pin them and take pictures. And tonight I wanted to present them to you as this body, because this was not possible without your guys' votes. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you and congratulations to all of you. If you wouldn't mind maybe introducing yourselves publicly and just maybe tell a little bit about yourself, that would be great. So the public can hear and we can all recognize.
Firefighter Chavez. I've been with the department for going on 7 years in April of next year. I've had the opportunity to work with some really great people. I've had a lot of education in the field, and I don't really have much to say, but I was born and raised here.
Fantastic.
I'm excited. I'm honored to serve the community.
Thank you. Yeah. And who's joining you today?
This is my son, Ricky.
Ricky, how are you? All right. How's it going? All right. Ricky's excited too.
We'll get Ricky on board.
I know he'll be on board. He's there now.
Hello, my name is Rogelio Espinoza. Like Chavez, I was raised here as well. It's a career I've always wanted to do, and I'm more than happy to do it for the city that I was raised in.
Fantastic.
Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Hello, my name is Seth Melendez. I recently started here earlier this year, and I'm very happy to get my career started in the fire service. Very excited for the opportunity you guys have given me. Thank you, and I'm honored to serve the community.
We're honored to have you. Thank you.
Some sharp haircuts.
Right? Yeah.
My name is Firefighter Sabater. I'm born and raised in Brawley. I'm a United States Army veteran, airborne. My father served this community for over 30 years as a pediatrician at Clinica de Salud. And I'm honored and privileged to continue that legacy for my family and serve this community.
Fantastic.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your service. Well, good job, Chief. It looks like you got a good crew there and great people, great human beings that join the department. So thank you again for your support and everything, and we look forward to having you out there. So thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you for your support.
And great job on the open house.
And that was my next topic.
Yeah,
Thank
there you go.
For the perfect segue, I did want to report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
We did have our open house this Saturday, this past Saturday. It was a wonderful event. We want to thank all the community for coming out, all of our participating other stakeholders, other providers in the valley. this was our biggest year yet, so I do want to apologize for anybody who came late. We ran out of food, which is a good and bad thing.
Right.
So we'll be adjusting for our numbers next year, and we're always improving. And I did see many of you out there, and I apologize if I missed anybody. I was doing tours. But again, thank you so much to the community and this body, and we had a really good open house.
It was great. You know, people trickled in and they started to really kind of arrive after about 45 minutes, an hour. And it was a lot of people out there, so good time.
Yep.
Kids out there having a good time, families out having a good time as well.
Yep, and then the helicopter showed up and stole the show.
Right,
So.
right, yeah, yeah.
That's how it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Good job. All right, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Items are approved by one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as written?
I motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
No second.
There's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And I just wanted to make a note of that 3D item with respect to the four-way stop signs and things. I've had a lot of positive commentary on those, so that's good. All right, next item is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. As Chief Duran makes his way up, I got one quick announcement. He has a little announcement to make as well, but I would like to let everybody know that tentatively on October 27th, we are putting together with Mayor and Ram Medina and Tommy there, Garcia, presentation, event type ribbon cutting for Legion, Western, and Wildcat Roads. The work is being finalized next week. Approximately will be done around the 25th potentially, and then so we're hoping for a nice little ribbon cutting and get that circulation going. I know a lot of folks have been waiting for those three roads to be opened up. So
it's going to be good stuff.
Yep. With that, Chief Duran.
Well, good evening, members of the council, city manager, city staff. I'm excited today to announce our yearly horse ride. As you know, it's been a success in the past. So we organized it again, and this time we did it ahead of time. So this time we actually put it in such a time that we're going to call it our cattle call kickoff, as you see on this flyer, and we're going to promote it. So we are in partnership with Border Patrol, our great partner. And I just wanted to let the community know that on November 2nd, we're going to be riding through the city like we did last year. So I hope people can join us. The route will be posted, I'm hoping, by tomorrow. That way people can actually know where we're going to be riding by. And we're going to end up at the Mixer, which is another cattle call kickoff here at our local restaurant, Inferno. So I think we're going to have a great time. So I definitely would like to invite the community to join us.
Is that Mayor Nava in the black?
Oh, wow, yeah, he is. He snuck himself in there.
When did you take that picture?
He's looking up in the sky.
These are photos from last year. So.
Sure.
Yeah, and in black. It was actually rather successful. We did get a lot of people coming out last year, so we're looking forward to that.
It's fantastic. And there's a lot of community engagement, believe it or not. The things that I've done, I've mentioned it before, you know, I've had the honor, the privilege to do a lot of things on the city council over the past 16 years or so, and this is really kind of a highlight, believe it or not. I mean, we've been on helicopters out with the military, we've done a lot of different things, but I can tell you, as far as public engagement and getting the kids out there in the public, that's a whole lot of fun. I think we all enjoyed it very much. Look forward to it. Thank you, Chief. City Manager.
That concludes.
That concludes. All right. Well, thank you. All right. We'll move on to regular business. Next item is 5A, discussion potential action to receive and file the annual financial reports for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022, presented by Sylvia Luna, Acting Finance Director.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, city staff, public, Sylvia Luna, Acting Finance Director. I'm here tonight to present the results of fiscal year 2022. This is a high-level recap of our audited financials and single audit. As part of this presentation, we have via Zoom Laura Arbizo, our audit manager with Rogers, Anderson, Melody, and Scott Certified Public Accountants, who will provide their comments as part of this presentation. To begin a little bit about our audit, our 2022 audit, this was our first year audit engagement with Rogerson, Anderson, Melody, and Scott, well known as RAMS. The audit was conducted on a hybrid form, which means our auditors perform interviews and testing in both ways, in person, on-site at the finance department, and remotely. This also included granting full access to our auditors to our financial system. RAMS issued a clean audit opinion, which is the most favorable conclusion. And this year as well, the city had a single audit, which is a separate audit from the financial audit that is only required when an entity exceeds the $750,000 threshold in federal expenditures. The last time the city had the obligation to prepare a single audit was back on 2018. And as well, the single audit is part of the scope of work and audit, which our auditors will also be providing their comments tonight. A little bit about our annual financial report. So first, I would like to say that the term for our report has changed this year. It is now called Annual Financial Report. The term CAFR or ACFR was utilized in previous years to refer to the city's financial report. Per our auditor's recommendation and based on GASB standards, the city's report should now be called Annual Financial Report, as our report does not include the statistical section, which is one of the main components of the ACFR. The finance department is working to include the statistical section and has now gathered 6 years worth of statistical data that will be incorporated in our 2023 report. So as part of our financial report, as you know, this is the product of our finance department and contracted auditors' collaboration to ensure accuracy and transparency of all the financial matters of the city. The city's financial report includes the following sections for the purpose of describing and explaining to the reader the main financial events and existing resources and obligations for the year ended 2022. So our report includes a transmittal letter, the management discussion and analysis, the independent auditor's report, the financial statements, of course, budgetary comparison schedules, and the notes to the financial schedules. So now I'm going to provide a little bit of some financial highlights for year 2022. I know it's been a while since we discussed the revenues and expenses and overall what happened during this year. So the number one thing you should note under the city's government-wide statement of activities is the drastic reduction in governmental expenditures. Governmental expenses overall decreased by 53% compared to prior year. And this reduction is a result of a 11.9 million credit to the net pension liability expense that was caused by CalPERS returns on investment on 2020 and 2021 that get reported into this year, 2022. This return on excess is shown in our financials as an asset or gain for the year and not as an expense or liability which is usually reported. But the disclaimer here, this is a temporary benefit. So this is not real. It will revert next year. So those are the bad news. It will revert next year. So now CalPERS has losses, so we need to report that portion of the loss and the liability and the expense for year-end 2023. So overall, our governmental funds revenues increased almost by 13%, mainly due to strong tax revenues and an increase of operating and capital grant funding. For the business type funds, our water, airport funds, pretty much revenues and expenditures remain flat compared versus prior year. There's no big changes right there. I have more good news, I promise. In the governmental fund balances, which includes the general fund and all other governmental funds, which includes our special fund, like the ARPA, law enforcement funds, our DEEF funds, our development impact fees funds, our total governmental fund balances increased by 5.7 million compared to prior year. As you can see, the general fund committed reserves includes 1.7 million in operational carryovers, which are savings transferred to the next fiscal year that are going to be set aside or were set aside to to pay for specific expenses and operational projects. This committed portion, the $2.3 million that you see under the general fund, also includes $600,000 in capital replacement reserves. So that's a reserve that we're building up every year by $100K. So just to have that set aside fund there. Under the all other governmental funds, $20.7 million, we have funding, restricted funding for streets and roads, public safety, community and development, and our community and facility district funds. So general fund balances or reserves. Under the general fund balances for year ended 2022, the overall reserve is $5.5 million. That's a $1.6 million higher than last year. The unassigned portion of the reserves the city counts to face for emergency expenses or contingency increased from $2.7 million to $3 million. That's almost 11%. Reserves compared to our 15% target from actual expenses based on our policy had a surplus of $622,000, which is great news. So part of our, not just our resources and liquidity, we also have obligations. So in terms of obligations, the governmental portion, we have significant items in here. One of them, it's the pension obligation bond, which this bond matures until 2032. We have the capital leases. These capital leases, it's our vehicle leases that we have with Enterprise Fleet Management, around 8. We have a total of 15 leases. Around 8 of them belong to governmental fund balances, and another 6 or 7 belong to the water and wastewater funds. So those are 60-month leases that we have with Enterprise, and that's the balance outstanding as of year 2022. Here is the net pension liability that I was talking about. So this year it's not a liability, and we do have an expense recorded for this item. We have a gain. We have an asset of $1.9 million. The bad news is that this line, specifically this line item, this liability, is going to turn into a $14 million. Well, at least the governmental portion is going to turn into a $13 million liability next year. So that's a big swing there to consider. Yes, big swings. And I'm not the technical expert on CalPERS, but we are working with some consultants. They're going to come here and present to us and provide some potential strategies to see how we can manage that specific situation.
And so that is inclusive of some of the significant changes, right? They've had some policy changes.
Yes.
To CalPERS in terms of what employees are included or groups, et cetera.
So yes, that right number in there, it reflects our 4 plans that we had with CalPERS. Obviously, this is product of market volatility, inflation, demographics. It's out of our control, for what I know so far. But I'm sure that we need to work on some strategies on how to mitigate the impact of that liability increasing, and how our contributions are going to grow over year.
The biggest factor is the CalPERS returns.
Mm-hmm.
And when it turned, we had the big year, and then it turned this last year where they had a negative return, and that's mainly the big driver of that net pension liability.
Especially with significant increases in just what's happening in the economy, I assume,
right.
as well, with interest rates, et cetera.
Yep.
Out of our control. Bond market,
yeah, and it's also the strategies that the CalPERS investment teams are trying to do to chase returns, and in my opinion, a lot of it has to do with what they call the ESG, where, as an example, there's get out of all fuel-based companies, regardless of the returns, and that takes a big hit on our pension, which, this humble opinion, is not a good strategy, since the cities are funding that. So.
Yep. Not good.
True. Yeah. I agree with you.
Okay, so back to our proprietary funds, or enterprise funds: water, wastewater, solid waste, airport. This reserves also increased by $5.7 million, almost 22% compared to the prior year. 60% of these funds net position, it's invested in capital assets. So basically, we're investing our money on water and wastewater infrastructure. So So those are really committed for that. 40% is unrestricted, so there are readily available resources for any additional projects we might need to implement. Proprietary funds, long-term liabilities, very similar to our governmental portion. The only difference in here, we have a couple of notes payable. The total, there's two. The total between those two is 8.3 million. One of them, it's the Municipal Finance Corporation pool bonds with the California Statewide Communities Development under a water fund. The outstanding balance as of 2022 is 694,000. The estimated payoff, it's June of 2025, so we're almost done with that one. And the second item, it's the project finance agreement with California State Water Resource Control Board to rehabilitate and upgrade the wastewater treatment plant. So the outstanding balance on that, it's 7.6 million, and the estimated paid off, it's June of 2032. So as you can see, the liabilities, we also have the same behavior with the net pension liability for the proprietary funds. The only difference is that this portion, it's pretty much going to go up to the same level for to the next year, 1.7 million. That's expected liability for year 23. So this is behavior. It's a little bit more normal or more comparable to prior year. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit of the single audit. So our last single audit was in 2018. For year 21-22, we had $1.9 million in federal expenditure awards, a total of 15 programs. 2 of them identified as major. One of them, it's the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, and the other one, it's the Highway Planning and Construction, which is all of our streets funding for all of our streets projects that we have going on. Most likely we'll have a single audit for the next couple of years, just because we still have ARPA funds being used and our department heads continue to go and seek out for grants, and that's great news. So this is just a separate audit. It's a little bit more work, but it's worth it. It's worth the work. And now I will share my time with Laura so she can share her comments in regards to the 2022 audit.
Good evening at this point. Like Sylvia said, my name is Laura Arbizu. I am the audit manager for the 2022 audit. I'd like to just go over a little bit, as Sylvia went over the numbers. I'd just like to focus a little bit on the audit process, what we actually do as part of our audit for the city, and the type of guidelines or requirements that we're following as we're doing our audit. So the city's financial statements are in conformity with U.S. generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing requirements. And then the plan of the audit is to express an opinion as to whether management's financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in conformity with generally accepted principles. And our purpose for the audit is to provide reasonable but not absolute assurance and express an unmodified opinion, like Sylvia mentioned, or a clean opinion, which is the highest level of assurance. And we always like to mention that it is management's financial statements. We do assist with that process, but it is based on management's information. We were just helping them, assisting management in drafting those statements. As far as some of management's responsibilities, management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with the principles previously mentioned, and also for the design and implementation, maintenance of internal controls for the fair presentation of those financial statements so that they're free from material misstatements, whether it's either fraud or error. Management is required to evaluate whether there are conditions or events considered in the aggregate that raise substantial doubt about the entity's ability to continue as a going concern for 12 months beyond the financial statement date. So this is all information that we are discussing with management as we are performing our audit. Now, a little bit about the audit process. We did do a hybrid with the city this year, and we normally perform our audit in 2 stages. What we call the interim audit, which is where we're looking at the internal controls and detailed risk assessment. So we're getting an understanding with the different processes that the city has over your cash disbursements, payroll, cash receipts, treasury, contracts, and we're testing controls over the various cycles to make sure that the city has controls in place to make sure that there are different people involved in those cycles. And then this helps us determine the approach and the type of procedures that we do in the second part, which is our year-end audit. At this point, we're actually looking at the numbers, so the balances that you're going to see in those financial statements, we're taking a look at them, and we're conducting sample audit procedures on those records. We're looking at different information, confirming with third parties, inquiries, reviewing your procedures in place to make sure that either transactions that have occurred that we selected for testing are in accordance with the policies in place. We do analytical procedures. We also go through the council meetings for the entire fiscal year to see if there was anything approved by council or that we should be seeing in the records at the end of the year. And then we're also looking at different documents, contract agreements, to make sure that the balances at the end of the year appear reasonable. So, as part of completing the process after those 2 sections have been done, we help compile the financial statements based on the data provided by management. We review the management discussion and analysis prepared by management and the transmittal letter. We also complete a review from myself, and then the audit partner, Terry, is on the call. Terry Shea is our audit partner for this audit. And then we issue, once all of that is done, we issue our report. So there are a couple of different things that we issue. First of all is that report that Sylvia mentioned that is part of your financial statement. And like I mentioned before, that was an unmodified clean opinion that we issued in that report. In addition to that, there is a report on internal control and compliance that we issue. And for that, we consider controls over financial reporting to determine the procedures that we needed to perform for the audit. And then we are required to report to you any deficiencies or material weaknesses that we notice as part of our procedures. We do perform some tests of compliance with certain provisions, laws, regulations, and contracts. Again, we don't express an opinion over the internal control, we just do some procedures over it. So that is one of the reports that you should have received from us. In the current year, there is a material weakness that is in that report. And that one's just related to the bank reconciliations. When we were performing procedures, there were just, they were not done in a timely manner. This was something that was discussed with finance department, and they understood, and they're working towards making the correction. It was based on some finance turnover that you guys had in fiscal year 22 while we were performing. But it is one of the requirements that we have to just disclose to City Council any issues that we noted as part of our procedures. The other report or letter that you would see is what we call the SAS 114 letter. And that's a letter to those charged with government, which would be City Council. And in this letter, we describe our responsibility, our compliance with ethics, significant risk identified during the audit, certain significant accounting policies, difficulties encountered with management, if any. We did not encounter any difficulties with management. It goes through corrected and uncorrected misstatements. So if there were any items that we noted that were recorded incorrectly, but were not corrected, those would be listed in the back of that letter. And then any additional topics that came up through our process. So you'll see in that letter, there were some items that we noticed that were changes that were from fiscal year 21 audit that were not significant enough for us to adjust the activity through a prior period adjustment. So those are just listed there for your reference as part of the required disclosures that we have to make to City Council. Those are the letters that should have been presented to you along with the financial statements. You know, with the first year audit, it's a lot of additional information and questions and time that we request from finance. And we really do appreciate all of that time that you guys gave us. I know I met with finance and met with different departments just to gain an understanding of all the controls that the city has in place so that we can properly document and hopefully in subsequent years reduce a little bit of that additional burden that we put on the city the first year when we're trying to understand how the city works and make sure that we are doing our procedures correctly for the entity itself. So I just want to take the time to say thank you, Sylvia, and the finance department, everybody that helped answer questions, provide information so that we can complete this audit. If you guys have any questions for me, let me know.
Any questions from council? I know it was pretty thorough and a lot of technical matters in there as well, but
mine's probably more of a comment, Mr.
Sure.
Mayor, of just for the public's benefit. When it's when we have a new firm, you know, doing the audit, it's a heavy lift. I've learned that over the years. Every time we've had a new firm come in, typically it's for a couple years or 3 years, something like that. But it's always an impressive amount of work that occurs. And maybe I'll just throw in this comment as well. So I have learned when you have an unmodified opinion or no issues that are significant, how big an accomplishment that is. And I think it's a little bit of a testament of the years that I know between our city manager, our past city finance manager, and our acting finance director and staff has, it's a lot of work. And then also all of our department heads, it's really a concerted effort on everyone's part to keep these processes in place. So we appreciate the improvement and I'm sure the feedback, but very well done. Again, it's just pretty impressive to see this.
I agree, and thank you for sharing those comments. But we've just become accustomed to hearing the good news. And that's just, honestly, that's staff that's doing the work. Of course, our auditors are helping that process, but it's staff's work that's making us be solid as a city. So we just expect that. It's an expectation, right? From all of us, not just from council, from yourself, right? And from your department and everybody else. So that's good.
But I think it's the ultimate for public trust.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
So. It is. And I think that the public expects it as well. So, but not just that, but you can imagine, because we all know there's cities throughout the state of California and everywhere else that don't get these results, right? And so they have a lot of fiscal issues, and sometimes there's embezzlement, sometimes there's other issues. There's a whole lot of things that can go wrong. So I appreciate the fact that you keep us safe and operating. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I just want to commend you, Sylvia, on all the hard work. We know you're putting in a lot of hours along with the rest of your staff and our city manager. And yeah, this is a lot to take in, a lot to break down. Tyler says, you know, it's good that somebody understands it because it's a lot for us to break down, right? That's not our background, but I do commend you on all the hard work and appreciate everything that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it seems like I've heard this a couple times over the years, but part of the reason why we have turnover with audit firms is because, I mean, it's part of the process. We need a new set of eyes in the auditing process, and because sometimes things start to fall through the cracks or slip through the cracks because I don't know, just people get used to things being a certain way. So when a new auditing firm comes in, it kind of shakes things up and everybody wakes back up a little bit. But as Mayor Nava said, we have come to expect over the last few years that things are always going to look good, and it's going to be good news, more good news than bad news. And so we do appreciate all the hard work the finance department puts in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Laura. I just want to thank, obviously, our finance department, public works, all city departments. yourself as well, city manager, and our auditors, of course, for their very hard work on helping us get this financial report completed for year 2022.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Staff understands that council's on the edge of their seats for this report every
Yes.
year.
When you thank the city manager, he actually adjusted his tie and looked up a little bit, you know what I mean? So I think he
should be celebrated.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So, all right, so the item is
need a
potential
motion.
action to receive and file the annual fiscal reports for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022. Is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve item 5A.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sylvia and team.
All right. Next item. Some more good news, right?
Yes, excellent news.
Regular business, 5B, discussion potential action to approve a resolution to accept funding from the Building Forward Library Facilities Improvement Program, ratify the submission of the grant application, and authorize the city manager and library manager to accept a grant award on behalf of the city of Brawley from the California State Library in the amount of $611,050. Well, $611,050. $611,050. Excuse
forget
me.
the 50 bucks.
Yeah, 50
Yeah.
bucks. Presented by Petro Ortega Library Manager.
But before, if I may, Mayor, I just want to point out that Petra, this was her first time applying for a grant, did all the work on her own without the consultants, batting 1,000. So we expect her to win every grant award moving forward. That's a very big accomplishment, and I, for one, along with the rest of the staff, are very proud of this moment.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Tyler, our city manager, for saying that. Because one of my questions, Petro, for you, and I already know the answer, is like, who wrote the grant and who worked on it?
It was me.
Good. You know why I mentioned that? Because I want to congratulate you for that. And I'm very happy that city staff took it upon themselves to announce that on social media, because too often, and this happens throughout this Imperial Valley, that city councils take credit for the hard work that staff does. And we don't write the grants. You all do. And you did a great job, and it's $611,000. So let's give her a big round of applause before this. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I see it so many times, and I know who writes grants, and I know who gets the money. I know it, because I've been doing this a long time, and I know them personally. And I often hear council members take credit for, oh, well, we did it as a city, and we did, yeah, there's other people involved in some of the grant applications, but sometimes we need to recognize who is involved, who participates, who does it, and who's awarded, right? And so thank you, Tyler, for doing that, for recognizing, and I do appreciate that. Anyway, enough of that. So please present, yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Petra Ortega, Library Manager. This request is for the approval of a resolution to accept grant funds from the California State Library's Building Forward Library Facilities Improvement Program. This highly competitive grant supports capital projects for public library buildings that address critical maintenance needs, improve energy efficiency and sustainability, and expand access to access physically and digitally.
Fantastic. All right. Any questions from council?
I just want to say congratulations and thank you for your hard work. I know Mayor now was familiar with that, right? Like he goes to sleep, I'm sure, sometimes, and the lights on of his studio and office is still on, right, as they're typing away, applying for these grants. So I'm just curious, I know that you're working around the clock all the time. Would you say, like, how many man hours were devoted into something like this?
I don't really keep track of that. I do a lot of my work here and there, bits and pieces. I will say that I put in a submission of interest back in January. The grant was completed in May. So throughout that time, it was all gathering information to submit the requirements of the grant, where that I prove how this project is sustainable for our library, what improvements were needed. I submitted pictures of the facility, and to provide justification for the needs that our building has. So
great
I couldn't give you an exact amount of hours that I spent on it.
It's a lot.
I might
Yeah, I
ask,
can imagine.
just if in time we'll get some reports on kind of what we'll be targeting as far as improvements and allocation.
For this, she can
Yeah.
on that right now, I think.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we already know, sure.
Yeah, so this particular project will be focusing on replacing the HVAC systems in the library, and we want to replace the windows. So those are the two outputs for this project. We want to go ahead and replace 28 windows at the facility because, as I'm sure you know, we do get a lot of break-in attempts where they have damaged the windows over time. The building's very old, around 1930s, so those windows are very fragile. So I'm looking to get some windows with like double pane, maybe some reinforcement. And, well, it's very hot here in the valley, so we need to upgrade those ACs, maybe a better filtration system to, for the comfort of our patrons.
It's 6 units, right?
I think-
There's
I believe
6
so.
units on the
5 or
library
6.
alone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a big facelift there.
Yeah.
Yeah, new windows. Fantastic. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you again.
And just, so that we all know, there is no local match required for this grant.
Fantastic.
I got
Beautiful.
No
one
local
comment.
match. Yeah.
One comment,
It's the best part.
Ms. Ortega, thank you. I'm not surprised. We went to school together at class of 08. No, you do, I see the work you do. Not only do you deal with administration, the council, but you have a lively library board that you're very engaged with, that's very engaged with what you're doing. And so I've seen it firsthand being at those meetings that I've been filling in for Councilmember Hamby on. And I've been super impressed. And not only that, I think we're going to see with investments, investments attract. And so you've been huge on bringing equity, not just to this library, but also Del Rio. And so really applaud this and your efforts and really, like I said, showcasing to our community that we have a librarian who really cares about our library system and how we can get families and kids to go more often. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Do we need to read it?
Make a motion
No.
to accept looks like the grant application and authorization.
And approve the resolution?
And approve the resolution.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Congratulations and good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. The next item on the agenda is 5C, discussion potential action to approve the emergency replacement of air conditioner at Fire Station Number 1 and associated budget adjustment in the amount of $8,118.67, presented by Chief Michael York.
Mr. Mayor, is this the right time to ask that maybe perhaps you just run into, present items C and D and we vote on both of those in one?
We can make a motion. Why don't we just, let's hear it real quick and then we can make a motion on both items.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mayor Nava and City Council, City staff, and public. The next 2 items in front of you have to deal with emergency replacements at each one of the fire stations. Fire Station 1 had a unit go out in mid-July. That was very emergent as that provided directly to the crew's sleeping quarters. Repair cost was very expensive and it was an 18-year-old unit, so it was definitely determined that replacement was the best option. Station 2, the air conditioner unit went out mid-September, supplied the living quarters and the administrative offices. That too was a 12-year-old unit, so same thought process. So we did approve those as emergent, and we're requesting the approval of that emergency decision as well as the associated budget adjustments.
Thank you, Chief. Is there a motion to approve items C and D?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion to approve items C and D. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. All right, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Stay cool. Right? Right?
Whoa, it'll just keep on coming.
There we go. There we go. All right, next item is 5E, discussion potential action to approve contract change order number 1 to contract number 2023-01, Lion Center Pool Rehabilitation Project for $92,195.75 to California Commercial Pools, Inc. Further authorize the city manager to execute all documentation in relation to this project, presented by Rachel Fonseca, Parks and Recreation Manager.
Good evening, members of the council. Rachel Fonseca, Parks and Recreation Manager. So the item before you is a request to approve a change order to California Commercial Pools and authorize the city manager to execute all documents in relation to the Lion Center Pool Rehabilitation Project. During the demolition of the large pool, the contractor noticed water leaking and leaching into the large pool from the wading pool. During demolition of the wading pool, the contractor found that the main drain plumbing was installed incorrectly in the wading pool, and the change order before you is for the costs associated with identifying the leak in the wading pool, repairing the leak, and restoring the wading pool to operation. I have construction manager Erica Ponte from Erickson Hall here to answer any technical questions you may have regarding the project or the pictures.
Any questions?
Is
Any
he online?
comments? I think it's,
Oh, he's here. Here.
necessary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Come on up if you want to chat with us. If you don't, then keep sitting.
Maybe.
There we go. All right.
Maybe just a little background about the wading pool and all that.
Certainly. Thank you very much, Erica Ponte with Erickson Hall Construction. We are the construction manager for the city of Brawley for this project. So she is correct. In the course of demoing out the large pool, we noticed some water penetration that came through. It was at that point we were trying to figure out what was going on. So it was at that request, the contractor requested for the fill line to be shut off. Within 24 hours, the wading pool emptied. So the assessment is that that pool has been leaching for a long time. My opinion is that it's probably been happening for a very, very long time, so you didn't notice any type of influx in the consumption. So during the course of, the process was that they went through and they tested the lines to try to determine exactly where that leak was. Had to demo out some of the concrete in order to get down to where the drains were. So at that time it was discovered that you'll see that PVC line that's on the top that actually was installed on top of the rebar, which technically would not be, that is not the correct installation. And it was attached to that existing copper line, which you can see that copper line is your main drain line, and it is incredibly damaged, deteriorated. We're all a little baffled as to how it got to that condition, but nonetheless, it was determined that it obviously discovered that that was an issue. Through the course of taking a look at this and then submitting to the architect, the course of construction to repair this will be to continue to demo out. You'll see in another picture, there's some red outline. We're actually going to extend out some of the demo. You're going to install in that center areas 2 new main drains, and then in the back by the stairs, and then over on the other section, you'll see it'll basically mimic on the top and bottom of the pool. You're going to have 2 more filter lines that are going to go in there. So the piping is going to actually be rerouted and come back, tie into your existing equipment. In addition to the resurfacing of the pool, of course, they're going to put in new tile lines, and basically it's going to be brought up to code. So you're going to have 2 new facilities that will be of great service to the community. And in all honesty, the wading pool was going to be at a particular point where it probably was going to continue to be a safety hazard because it was deteriorating pretty.
And it also provides the opportunity to upgrade, like the chairs, ADA chairs, and
so you don't have any for this particular pool, but yes, for the large pool, you are actually getting an upgrade in your wheelchair lift chair. So it is a battery-operated wheelchair lift, which will allow any disabled person to go to that lift. They'll be set in, and then it will mechanically take them in and put them into the pool, so they will be able to utilize the full functionality of the pool. You will also be getting another ADA entrance on the large pool as well. So you'll have 2 separate ADA additions that are going to the large pool, but this will actually make for a fully functioning center. So I think the community will actually benefit greatly from it. And in all honesty, I hope to see that you'll see a reduction in your consumption.
Fantastic.
And probably just the number one question is just the timing of the project. How's that on track?
It was only so the purpose of why you see in the condition it is to quickly identify and to be able to save the city as much money as possible. Obviously, it's a lot more cost effective to be able to do these activities when the contractor's already on site. So the extension of contract is only 16 days. Initially, we had a owner turnover for to be able to substantially complete for the owner to be able to occupy and use the facility as of November 8th. With this extension and holidays, safe bet is into November. You'll be able to occupy the pool, which I think allows for Rachel to be able to open up for all of your community programs. And then, of course, we'll just go through the closeout process as far as documentation and things like that, but that doesn't interfere with the actual usage of the facility.
Sure. Well, thank you very much for the further explanation. We appreciate that.
No problem.
Is there any questions from council? If not, is there a motion to approve?
It's probably the uric acid that took out that drain line would be my guess in the wading pool.
If it was deteriorated, he's 100% correct, and that is why part of this process is they are going to replace that copper line, so you don't have any further issues.
I have no idea what that is.
The chemicals and everything that goes into the pool, he's not wrong.
Right? It's very good, you know? Oh, okay. Why do you think he's so red?
He's not.
You know?
It's not a heated pool, but it feels like it.
Right? But it feels heated.
You had all those warm currents going through there.
It's not a heated pool with everything, but he's not wrong.
He says, you know, Luke, let's give him a big round of applause.
Finally, we had a funny one.
he rolls these out.
As
you
a
know?
contractor and a father of little boys, I
Right.
I understand
Those are,
both of
you know,
those.
very good little elementary jokes, brother. Those are pretty good, you know? It wasn't a heated pool, but it felt heated. It felt. Right? There you go. All right. That's very good. All right. Well, is there a motion to approve the item?
Also move.
All right. Thank you. And that's no joke, right?
That's no joke.
There you go.
And second.
There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Motion
Rachel.
carries. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
And let's thank Councilmember Hamby. That was very, very
I'm
good.
always red, though.
Right?
That's the thing.
Right? Very good. You know, that was, it had to be explained to Mayor Pro Tem Castro.
I know
but
what it is. I
still-
just wanted to check that one out. See his face.
All right, next item on the agenda is 5F. Discussion potential action to pass and adopt a resolution to accept funding from the fiscal year 2023 Office of Traffic Safety Selective Traffic Enforcement Program grant presented by Jimmy Duran, Chief of Police. Chief Duran.
Yes, sir. Good evening, members of the council, mayor, city staff, city manager, Jimmy Duran, Chief of Police. Yes, we have a couple more grants that we're going to talk about today. First of all, we have this grant that is called, I believe it's a STEP grant, the first one that's up on the agenda. No, sorry. Yeah, it is the STEP grant. So sorry, because I have three, so apologize for that. Yes, in our efforts to combat DUIs and have a better traffic impact in our community, we seek this grant, and we were awarded it in the amount of $60,000. This is going to help us pay for overtime for DUI checkpoints, and as I mentioned on our last meeting, as a matter of fact, November 2nd, you know, I'm making it known to the community. We are having a checkpoint. That'll be our first one. You know, because our intent is not to arrest people, take their vehicles or anything like that. It's to prevent. We want people to drive safely and to attend all our events safely, especially coming up to cattle call.
Even on horseback.
Even on horseback, yeah,
right.
yeah.
Even on horseback.
So this grant is definitely going to pay for travel and training. We have lacked training on that area due to funding. We are training our personnel on DUI. We needed some additional equipment, supplies. This is going to pay for that. So this is going to actually get us up to speed. To the best of my recollection, the last time we did a DUI checkpoint has been like 8 or 9 years, which is unacceptable. So we're hoping that this is going to help our efforts, you know, to making our community safer, especially with the holiday coming up and, you know, the end of the year. My hope is that you will approve and accept this resolution, you know, and ratify the submission of the grant application and authorize the city manager and myself or designees to accept this grant. And it should be known that there's no match for this grant. So this is a California state grant, no cost to the city.
Thank you, Chief.
Mayor, just like to point out that Chief and his staff also are doing all these grants by themselves too, without consultants. And getting,
Fantastic, Chief.
I forget the amount of that police department has done over the years. It's been so many that we had to hire an analyst to keep track of them. It's been that
Right,
much. So
right.
yeah. So
Well,
I just wanted
Chief,
to point that out.
I think that's important. Thank you,
he's
Chief,
doing-
for that,
doing
and your
good work.
staff as well for all. I know there's been multiple grants, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not multiple millions of dollars in grants that have been awarded to your department under your leadership. So thank you for that.
Yes, and definitely, you know, it's collaboration with all the staff, because what we do, some of these we write together, we write it with other partners, and so sometimes we have multiple authors in one grant, but we found that's the best way to do it, to make sure that, you know, we get
Cover all
good
bases
grants.
there.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, we
Yeah.
do.
It's good.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, unless there's further discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve and accept the resolution.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on, Chief, to item 5G, and it's similarly worded.
Yes, it's again from OTS. This one is in the amount of $90,125. And this is what they call the TRIP grant. The other one was a STEP grant. So this is going to allow us to buy software and equipment subscriptions that are needed to bring up our police department to 21st century, you know, standards as far as traffic. What that means in a nutshell is we're going to be able to do some data analysis. And, you know, sometimes they'll ask us how many traffic stops here or there, how many citations. And it's kind of hard to keep track of that. So this solution is also going to help us that. It's going to help us also do traffic stops in a faster manner because now everything is digital. Court dates. We're going to be able to scan driver's license without having to input information. So it's going to minimize mistakes. When traffic collisions occurred, it's also going to be inputted through this system. Again, it's going to allow us to have that data analysis that we don't have up to now, and hopefully help us allocate our resources in a better way, and again, to make our community safer.
Fantastic, Chief.
So this is going to pay for equipment, software, subscriptions that will be deployed to patrol personnel.
And the amount again, Chief?
$90,125. And again, no match on this grant as well.
Fantastic.
Mr. Mayor, unless there's any discussion or questions, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve and accept the resolution.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. And we'll move on to the next item presented by Chief again.
Okay,
So-
and this is another grant. So
Grant. That's awesome. Discussion potential action to pass and adopt a resolution to accept funding from the BGA Fiscal Year 23 Rural and Small Department Violent Crime Reduction Program. And Chief?
yes, this grant, I'm very excited about this one because it's in the amount of $300,000, but more so because it's going to allow us to establish a very important partnership. Actually, I'm going to call Dr. Osborne from San Diego State University to come up here. So what this grant is going to do is going to help us have some direct efforts into the opioid epidemic. This is one of the things that we've been trying to do, but due to lack of funding, we haven't been able to do. This is going to allow us to hire a crime prevention coordinator for a period of 3 years. It's going to fully fund that. And really what this is going to do is going to help us have more youth engagement, community engagement, and substance abuse prevention. You heard last meeting, that we're saying we don't have enough programs for youth. So we're hoping that this crime prevention coordinator will help us pretty much address that. We hear the community, and sometimes we are frustrated because we know we need to tend to these children and the youth, but unfortunately we don't have the means. This is definitely going to allow us to have the means. We have some plans of what we're going to do, but the exciting part of this, sometimes we do programs, but we don't know if the program is actually working, and that's where San Diego State University comes in as a research partner. Sometimes we get raw data, even in other things. And I'm excited with this partnership because as we walked through our station, we were showing other methods of data collection that we have on criminal matters as well. So Dr. Osborne was actually, coming up with some ideas, not even related to this, but I'll let him speak. I mean, he's got some great ideas of what we're going to do with this grant and potentially how that may help us with other things.
All right.
Dr. Osborne.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the Chief for the introduction. Thank you to the Mayor and the Council for letting me speak. I will try to be brief, but I am an academic, so sometimes I can't talk.
That's good. That's good.
My name is Dr. Jeffrey Osborne. I'm from San Diego State University, where I'm full-time at our Clexco location. I'm an assistant professor of criminal justice. I am the graduate program advisor for our Homeland Security program, and I am the co-director of our SDSU Regional Resilience Lab that we have at SDSU IV. And so I'm speaking to help introduce this new partnership we have with SDSU and the Brawley Police Department, and we have worked on a number of grants already. So we began last May. After we finished the first grant, I believe I got a call that same afternoon saying, do you want to do a second grant? And so we kind of began the process from that as well. And so with the grant that was recently selected to be awarded, what it's going to emphasize is how we can address issues of violent offenses, of youth offenses, as well as fentanyl-related issues. And so we have a three-prong approach. And so we are looking at how do we enhance community engagement, how do we promote youth education and empowerment, but also how do we leverage data-driven decision-making with limited resources. And so what we intend to do is hire this crime prevention coordinator to work with local agencies to improve our capacity, our capabilities to actually address these issues by speaking directly with youth organizations. Now, a lot of these federal grants, to get appropriate funding, you have to have outside evaluation. So what SDSU plans to do is be those who evaluate. We plan on doing a Brawley-wide community climate survey that can be done in a way that residents can safely and anonymously describe their concerns and issues, because it goes to SDSU. We will handle the data analysis, the data organization, all that aspect of it. And by having SDSU be that face for this community survey, it should build more trust with the people of Brawley, because we will come in from a more independent perspective. And so with this grant that we have, we see 4 potential outcomes. First and foremost, through data analysis, we should be able to ID a reduced risk of crime, or at least what areas should be given but more of a priority. We can enhance public trust in our local government agencies through our climate survey, and we can have greater equity in responding to crime issues and concerns of different neighborhoods within Brawley. So kind of overall, an increase in the quality of life of the residents of Brawley. And so this is a research practice partnership with the idea of enhancing what BPD is already doing. Enhance capabilities, enhance trustworthiness, enhance even accountability by having a partner handle some aspect of this process. BPD has access to a lot of information. The idea is, how do we turn information into data, analyze it, and get actionable information? Because if it's actionable, we can respond more quickly, effectively, and be more efficient with our resources. And so what we are doing at SDSU is all data analysis will be handled by SDSU's new Regional Resilience Lab. And this lab, which we call R Squared, is a multidisciplinary group of faculty from a range of disciplines. Although I will function as the primary investigator for SDSU, we'll have a host and team of faculty on it. So for example, we will have Dr. David Kanan, who's an associate professor of public administration. We will have Dr. Wan Chin, who is an assistant professor of mathematics. And we will bring on more faculty as we get more grants and the projects expand to other areas beyond this original grant. And so we can even bring in our students as interns, as assistants, help with this process. I, of course, have to acknowledge and thank Dean Nunez and Associate Dean Espinosa for their support on our IB campus to expand this partnership. Speaking professionally, this is a big deal. This is a great way to enhance what we're doing in the region. And I have to acknowledge that the chief has been the whole catalyst of this process. His vision has brought me here this evening. And through this partnership, we can really enhance what Brawley PD is already working on. It must be stated that this is unusual for a department of his size to have the ideas that he has. To be more modern with the approach of how evidence-based practices can enhance limited resources in an agency, and how to use outside agencies like SDSU to help increase all these community relationships. And so that has to go noted, because as we know, the whole community benefits when law enforcement are able to effectively do their job. And so with this grant and the other ones that we were working on, we hope to expand a long multi-year partnership of SDSU working with the city of Brawley on issues linked to offenses, linked to fentanyl, as well as community relationships. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions. If not, I hope at a later date I can return and talk more about these projects.
No, thank you very much, Dr. Osborne, for all the information and all the great comments. You know, Chief, it must be true. He's a PhD. It must be true what he's saying about you. So we believe it. He's done some great things in the city of Brawley. We certainly appreciate your involvement as well. You know, it's a great project, and as you mentioned, it is a big deal. It's a big deal for us and for the two of you professionally as well. So I'm proud of the fact that Chief is a creative talent in our department there, and he does great work for the city. So thank you for acknowledging that as well, and thank you for your involvement. I'll let council make some remarks as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor. Appreciate it. And also we have Dean Nunez in the audience and Frank Salazar from the Public Relations Department. Is that correct, or did I get it right? But yeah, appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing out there. Yeah, thank you, Chief, for this. One thing that I learned very quickly when I got on council, another person arrived, two people arrived to their positions, right? Our city manager took over as city manager permanently, and you took over as chief of the department. And I remember thinking, there were all these issues, and obviously the city's always worked hard to address all of them, but I remember every time someone would come up, I would pick up the phone, Chief, and you were like miles ahead. You were like way ahead of all this. And so after a while, I stopped picking up the phone, and I said, hey, folks, we will be updated eventually, but trust that our chief is addressing these issues, especially, the ongoing concerns with fentanyl and all these other issues, right? I am comfortable and I sleep well at night knowing that you're at the helm, that you're working on all these issues, because a lot of the stuff you've done over the last few years is like, it's different. It's thinking outside the box. All the money you've brought in and the way you've applied all those resources, I mean, it's refreshing, and I certainly appreciate it, having young children in the city and knowing all the work that you're doing. Trust me, it's much appreciated. Thank you.
If you've been to his office, you know that in the back he has this crystal ball. So he uses that, and it's like, it's very effective.
That man is a Marine. That's what it is right there.
That's what it is.
He's a Marine. Certainly. He knows what's up.
And I'll invite Dean Nunez up in just a moment, but first, I know council has some comments to share as well.
There's a feng shui to the office, for sure.
Right?
Maybe we'll just go in kind of geographic order. My quick comment, more question comment, maybe to the good Dean, is that is there some academic outcomes that you're hoping to get from it as well? I mean, I heard some of the positive maybe impacts using this approach, data, perhaps even changing our police modeling. But I'm just curious, like white paper, is there anything here that might be published?
Yeah. So we would expect to have a range of documents. So we would have stuff that would be the traditional peer-reviewed academic work. But also part of the Bureau of Justice Assistance is you have to document everything that you do, and you have to write it in language for practitioners. And so not only is the whole academic arena, but also the brass tacks. Did this work? Did it not? How do we apply it to our agency? And so the good thing with this is that if we see something that is not as effective, that this is not the best use of resources, I can tell the chief directly and quickly, and we could adjust our resources accordingly. But if the program is effective and we see a great example of good law enforcement, I'm telling everyone. It's in papers, I'm speaking at conferences. Now we have an example. Here's what City of Brawley did. If your issues are similar, if your region is similar, we now have a model. And this is the power of just data-driven analysis, that we can actually see, here's what works, here's what doesn't, and adjust our resources accordingly.
So no pressure there, Chief, but he's already planning on going on tour. So no pressure, right?
Yeah. At that point, all you need is your approval to go.
Right there you go.
We hear from Dean Nunez?
Yes, we are.
Real quick, I don't think that's not a crystal ball in Chief's office. It's a bust of your head, man.
Right, there you
go. Thank you. Thank you. I think this is, to the partnership between our higher education and then our city, I think long overdue. And so thank you both for this collaboration. Thank you, Chief. I see from your, time in the military to even at the county, you have this vision of how it all comes together and how it all working together and the different parts needed to really get things done. And I really appreciate that. How many times this year is grant or this collaboration, this networking, and so your network that you've brought, your experiences that you've brought have really benefited our city, and to see this, it's going to go even farther, so thank you. Thank you to SDSU, thank you to Dean Nunez, and really excited to see what's going to come from this, so thank you.
Yeah, no, this is just great. It's great to see this collaboration. Obviously, this is facing or addressing or at least compiling data of a big problem, a growing problem. And Chief, I always appreciate your forward thinking, trying to bring our city, our department into the 21st century, but in very different ways. And I think, this kind of a collaboration with SDSU, where we have we have our own Brawley campus, and we're always looking for more collaboration, more growth that way. I think this is a great step in that direction, and a great step in the direction of figuring out how to address this growing issue, and hopefully come up with some solutions that will bring about a good change in that area for our city. So thank you.
Thank you. And Dean Nunez, we're honored to have you here as well. If you can come up and share your thoughts as well, we'd appreciate that very much.
Mayor Nava and gentlemen of City Council, it's nice to meet you in person in your own chambers. So I'm very thrilled. I really believe in community engagement. And what does that do for higher education? That we're holding a university accountable to its community, right? And that we are also neighbors, that we're in Brawley, and that we're growing together. That being able to identify the needs of our community, pursue grants, reach out and say, look, we would like to partner with you. And have faculty, honestly, having faculty respond, because they're all busy. They teach, they do research, they have a lot of other commitments. So I want to thank Dr. Osborne, who's also from the Valley. And that also proves how critical it is for us to hire people who come from the region, who know who we serve, and have a commitment to community. This is something that I've been adamant about. We can invite our students to be researchers, and therefore we're preparing future researchers. We can invite members of our community to join our efforts and also help recruit. We have a master's in Homeland Security. So there's a call for local law enforcement. If they want to pursue management, go get a graduate degree. We are here to provide services for you. But also social mobility, that the degrees we're offering are going to create opportunities for your kids and your grandkids to stay and work in the Valley. And this is what I hear a lot. Do something so my kids or grandkids don't have to leave, so that we can give them good degrees with good paying jobs and good wages, but also do the research that matters. We can do a lot of research and it stays on shelves somewhere or now in digital documents, but research that matters to help improve the quality of life and hopefully prevent some deaths. I heard a child in Brawley High School died of a fentanyl overdose not too long ago, and that broke my heart. I'm a mother. So what we do in the community matters, and we want to be good neighbors, good partners in what we do. And I want to thank you, Mayor Nava, because I consistently call you out and say, hey, help me find spaces. We want to stay in Brawley.
Absolutely.
We want to grow in Brawley. And seeing a good, city council work effectively in partnership with the university. It's a public state university. We're the only four-year serving university in this region. And we want to make sure we have a mutual obligation and respect for one another and a commitment to grow together.
And I appreciate you very much. I know that a few months back, we had a discussion with respect to, like we have researchers, you utilize us, and so this is a highlight of that partnership, so we appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much.
We're going to go through the motion of making a motion and approving this, I hope, and then I'd like to get a picture with all of us, the city council, and I think it's a great moment for all of us, so I'd appreciate that. So is there a motion to approve the action item here and adopt the resolution?
I'll make a motion.
There you go.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. All right. Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Congratulations. Let's get up there.
Councilmember Wood and I, we agreed on, okay, you have it, and then somebody beat us to it.
No, I'm saying you made it.
Yeah, no, I know exactly. And then it from her.
Yeah.
I'll make it.
Yeah. Hey, you got this stuff.
Hey.
Chief, get in here. What are you doing? You're the one over here. Come on.
You're the one in the middle.
Where do you want? Right there.
Fantastic. Thank you. Congratulations. Thanks again. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Well, again, thank you very much for that presentation and for the excitement behind the presentation. I appreciate it very much. We're going to go on next to the study session. That's item 6A, review, discuss, and direct staff on any potential amendments to the City of Brawley Ordinance, Chapter 18 regarding noise, presented by Tyler Salcido, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Mondo will be assisting with the short presentation, but at the last council meeting, it was requested of staff to bring back this item as a study session for any potential amendments to the noise ordinance. So next slide, please, Armando. I'll jump right in. This slide here I borrowed from the police Chief Duran and Sergeant Garcia's last two presentations at the last two council meetings. It's the OSHA typical sound levels of certain varying degrees. I just want to use this as a reference as we move on, paying attention to the range from 40 to 80 to 90. Anywhere from an urban residence to a whisper, all the way to a freight chain 100 feet away at 80 dBAs. Next slide, please. So next are some examples of some noise limits. I used two local cities and two cities that potentially have an area like we are considering downtown is now like an entertainment type arena. So the first two are the local, El Centro and Calexico. As you can see, they're similar. They have the same land uses, single family, multifamily, commercial, etc. They have two sets of time zones and a maximum limits that are pretty similar. What they don't have is any specific downtown area or specific areas. This is generally to the whole city. Next slide, please. So here's the first one, that's outside the area that has the entertainment area. It has 4 specific time zones: single family, multiple family, and commercial. And the fourth one is interesting. It's a carve-out that's called all other residential. I found that interesting that it doesn't specifically reference anything to the gas lamp, which anybody that's been to San Diego, the gas lamp area knows there's a lot of entertainment there. There's the Padres, there's concerts. So that was the only reference that I'm assuming encompassed the gaslight area. Those are slightly higher than the other 3, with 3 time zones in the evening, 7 to 10 and 10 to 7 a.m. Next slide, please. This next one, Pasadena, and Old Pasadena, it's the same city. They have a little carve-out called Old Pasadena, which is an entertainment center, restaurant, what have you. They don't set limits, specific numbers. What they use here is a term called ambient noise. It's that's broken down there, a little definition. I'll try to explain it. It's an all-encompassing noise associated with a given environment. For example, if you wanted to use downtown as a deal, what is it at this time? What's the normal noise at that level at that time period, considering all the sources around, which would be traffic, whatever's going on in the area at that time of day, and it's measured over an average of 15 minutes, and from there, they consider, okay, the ordinance, there's a limit of 5 extra decibels, and that the only exception is multifamily, which has this is the only place that I've seen that says interior noise standard for multifamily units at 60 and 50 at those times, which it was specific to the interior, not the exterior. But in Old Pasadena, there's a carve-out, which is, again, the entertainment area of Pasadena, to specifically call out amplified sound, which is music or human voice for entertainment purposes. From there, they have the ambient noise levels set for the average of 60 and 50, depending on the time there that you see. And amplified music on private property can go 15 decibels above those, during those limited from 6 p.m. to 1:30. That's a little different than most other noise ordinances that we've seen. It doesn't specific levels, but it's kind of like what's going on here, and from that we'll allow an extra decibel level for certain events. Next slide, please.
Real quick question.
Sure.
Mr. Salcido, when you said interior noise standard, is that measuring the noise that's coming from within the building?
That's yeah, within, like say if it's an apartment, within the apartment, okay, or the apartment complex inside, yeah. So here what I tried to do was based on the staff reports from Chief Duran and Sergeant Garcia in the backup material. I tried to summarize what all those readings were. There were three different readings, or 3 separate recording periods, multiple readings, broken down by location. You got your location, the decibel range, and some observations, and then at the end there, you got some frequency of measurements. So if we just concentrate on inside spot 805, Ciudad Plaza, and then inside the Ciudad Plaza, I believe it was just one apartment. This is the range. It was from inside spot 805, 67 to 91 was the range. Those were the highest recorded levels, especially during the late night weekends, from all the recordings that were taken during this time period, and it was measured approximately 7 times. At Ciudad Plaza, not inside the apartments, but in the area, down on the first floor, outside the area, it ranged from 43 to 74 decibels, and these were the lowest to somewhat moderate recorded levels of all the locations that Sergeant Garcia measured, and that was through the 3 recording times with 8 different frequencies, 8 different times of measurements there. And then inside Ciudad Plaza, I believe it was Ms. Goss's apartment. It ranged from 39 to 70, an average of about 65. It's about a conversation level, and low was 40 decibels, which is basically silence. Measured 2 times during, I believe it was one event, 2 times. And then we have the others there. So what I tried to do was summarize it there in one little table there for everybody's viewing.
I have a question.
Sure.
With respect to like some of the readings, and this is previous slides, but there's a reference point that the cities have, right?
Yeah.
Where are the measurements taken from, though? Is it like immediately outside of the building, the structure, or?
The ordinances didn't specify that I read, but it says, I think, well, some of them did. In regards to the Pasadena, I think it had to be within 15 feet.
Oh, I see.
Something like that, but
Okay.
others didn't specify.
Okay.
So.
Within 15
That's
feet of
important,
the-
right?
Yeah,
Because,
right.
I
It's
mean,
a
that
lo-
could be.
It could be.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's like 15 feet from the.
Within the private property. So, yeah. Next
So
slide,
like
please.
at the edge of the
Yeah,
sidewalk
so
or
like
something.
stepping out, like front door.
And that was
15
just
feet away.
Pasadena's
Right,
example.
and
That sounds
nothing
about
else was
right, so-
specific.
Yeah.
Right.
So what you have here is the existing land uses in the downtown specific plan. This is the downtown specific plan. All the red areas are commercial. Pink is mixed use, and if you notice on the corner of 8th and Main, the pink there, that's Ciudad Plaza, that's defined as mixed use. And then the yellow and the darker yellow is the single family and multifamily units. Blue is public facilities, and the gray is light industrial to regular industrial. Next slide, please. So what I did was just as a kicking off point, not a recommendation. Sure.
If you don't mind, one more time, just go back, because just at the very end, I just want
Backslide, okay.
So the gray, because I can see it better here. So that is light industrial?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting, okay. Thank you.
And the light blue was institutional, which at the time there was Sun Community there, a bank. Bank's no longer there. This was done, I think, December 2012.
That's now.
The light blue was what
It's
they're
now
calling
public.
institutional.
It's now a public facility, right?
Yeah. So, okay. So again, next slide, please, Armando. Again, just the draft table as a kicking off point to start a conversation. What I did was divide it up into 3, actually, however many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different land uses based on the downtown specific plan. Most of them have 3 time periods, 7 to 7, 7 to 10, 10 to 7 a.m., and some noise levels that were just basically taken from the readings. That's all it is. It's not a recommendation, with the exception of commercial, which I put in more specific times, like from 7 to 12 on a Friday, Saturday, as opposed to the rest of the week, and from 12 to 7 with some maybe increased decibels as the top end compared to the rest of it. Again, not a recommendation, just kicking off point. And next, I believe that's the last slide, open for questions. I know I ran through that real fast, but that was just kind of what is the direction or questions that you're looking for maybe council to direct staff with potential any amendments to the ordinance.
All right, so we'll open it up to council for discussion. Any comments on that? There was a lot of information with respect to other cities and not sure if it's a proposed item, but certainly just a starting point. Is there any comments from council?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I'm glad you noted that weekends, obviously, we gotta allow for a little bit more. I do think it's a little bit high for what we're looking at as far as during the week. You know, I was considering all this and looking at this, it looks like when they were pushing certain decibels inside, you know, it had an effect that, like, if it went higher, then it went that much even more higher at the far end. And every time you lowered it, it had the same effect. So I think that we got to find a balancing point, a good point. And I do think that 75 dBAs for during weeknights is a little high. And I do think that first we got to start by setting the measuring point, like where are we going to measure it, a question that Mayor Nava asked. And we start from there, and then from there we start to set those standards. You know, I'm not sure what they are. I think it's going to require a little bit more work because Councilman Warren has mentioned this before, right? We got a lot of stuff coming up, and we don't want to limit a lot of activities. But I think that if we start by defining the area where we would measure these sounds every single time, that's a great start.
I think so too. And then here's a suggestion. I mean, just because if we are going to change the ordinance, let's make sure that we test the system first. Like, if we're going to suggest a decibel level that we're comfortable with or based on the information that's being presented, let's test it first to see if that is something that's acceptable before making it law, right? And so let's make sure that we do that. And if it works or if it doesn't, right? Yeah. So. Right. Yeah. Right. So I think that's going to be important, and then certainly determining where we're measuring from. So.
Yeah. Come on up.
Sure. Come on up.
Come on up.
Of course. Come on up.
I had something to talk about tonight, but I just didn't.
Come on up, please, so we can hear you.
To the mayor, the city council, the city manager, and the city attorney. The noise was low. It had lowered down. I had to call the police twice because you don't have any control over the volume, the knob for the volume. I don't have any control. Whoever has control of the knob, the volume, they can turn it up or turn it down whenever they want to. I called the police twice, on the 6th of this month and on the 14th, I believe, the 14th, because I called to have them come out and check the decimals at that time. But Sergeant Garcia wasn't on patrol on the weekends. So I think what you need to do is just, you don't live at the Cerdot Plaza. And sometimes the noise is down, sometimes it's up, it's elevated. So in order to even be able to determine about the noise and make a decision, you kind of have to live there or do something else.
Sure.
Or be in the vicinity of that area quite often. And if you're there often, then you'll find out what's going on.
Yeah.
But just to go there and do it one time,
Sure.
you can't determine really what's going on.
And I appreciate the comment. My office is located right by that location, and so I've stayed very late some nights working. And I'll be honest, I mean, it's not even the noise, it's like the bass that carries, and it's so loud, and it is loud. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, you know, so
The night
it is.
I decided that I wanted the police to come the night of the event because I knew having the event, the noise would be louder
Sure.
than normal. And it just so happened that the night of the event, the noise was lower then than it was on regular nights. So I couldn't understand why.
Right, I think there does need to be some testing before we decide, but
Yes.
I would agree.
I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
I would appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you would double check it, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, no, thank you, City Manager Salcido. Yeah. You got something you want? No, I'll give him credit. I'll give him credit. No, but City Manager, day-night level, community noise equivalent level, there is a lot of work that will be done. You know, but even according to San Diego, Excuse me. It's okay. It's okay.
They're afraid to talk.
If you like, no, you can.
They talk when they're in the building, but they won't talk when they come here.
All right. But just recently, a group of residents did file a lawsuit against the city of San Diego regarding noise in downtown. So that's something that is going on right now. With the progress being made, I do want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Castro and Councilmember Wharton just to see the progress we've been, although it may not be as fast as you wanted. I'm conceding to your leadership regarding this. You took the initiative to address this and work with the involved parties. I commend you for that, and I will follow your lead. I also say that because last time I inserted myself in the convo, I don't think it was well received. But first, I'd like to express my gratitude to the police chief, administration, and those officers involved for taking on the responsibility of managing this noise-related issue. History lesson, the topic of noise was originally intended for the Economic and Community Development Director to oversee, a role that has remained unfilled and is now, I think, merged with the Development Services Director. The point is, the administration, police, you didn't have to take this on, but you stepped up to the plate on a topic that I think now we're finding a balance on, and I'll take responsibility for not helping in some respects. Obviously, this topic has resonated through our downtown for quite some time. It's important to note that this issue is not new. As I've said in the past, it's been on our radar for over a decade. References to updating the noise ordinance can be found in planning documents that have guided our city's development, such as a downtown-specific plan referenced today and approved in 2012, and the General Plan 2030 adopted in 2008. Although many of us here today may not have been part of these initial discussions, and it can be easy to disregard both items as relics of the past, these documents continue to guide our city in decisions being made by this council and others. They've been referenced recently, such as this discussion earlier this year about the downtown digital signage. I've heard both mention and reference in various Planning Commission and LAFCO meetings. The general plan in 2008 not only clearly stated that our noise ordinance was qualitative and not quantitative, but for it to be updated to reflect policy of the plan itself. It even said that the following initial update, the city will periodically review its noise ordinance and other noise policies and regulations to confirm with changes in legislation and/or technologies and to address new community noise issues. As we approach the updating of that plan, which is scheduled for, I think, 2025 or 2028, I think the same recommendations, if we let this remain unchanged, the same recommendations would be made, and we literally may be back here simply kicking the can down the road or for us or another council to deal with. From the downtown specific plan, we find land use element policy 2.2.3 that states the importance of ensuring compatibility between mixed uses in our downtown overlay districts, emphasizing the importance of minimizing conflicts, including noise, while considering compatibility with existing neighborhoods. An ordinance revision will address this and help to minimize the conflicts like we see today. And I want to emphasize that any adjustments to the noise ordinance are not targeted at any specific business, although the concerns brought before us were against one and were the catalyst for these discussions. I also see this as addressing noise concern in a broader sense. Any changes to the noise ordinance can help us to address issues like the late night trains I hear often, the frequent neighborhood parties that may be occurring that I know we get calls about, and other noise generators that affect our community's peace and tranquility. And I say that because I know some feel like I've switched up. I've had people tell me, oh, you want to shut down a business or, which I didn't know I wanted to do, nor did I know I have that kind of power. I do have to look at, like all of us, I think we see it. I really commend for the progress we've made. I look at the bigger picture, the broader perspective, and the long term. I think addressing something that was put on this council when I was a teenager is something that we can collectively address and not wait another decade and a half. Our aim as a council is to strike a balance between supporting our small businesses, which are the lifeblood of our downtown, and safeguarding the quality of our residents, especially our seniors. We do not wish for any businesses to close its doors or be negatively impacted. Just as SNOR members attended our meetings and engaged with council members, I encourage all businesses to reach out to us if any proposed or implemented changes negatively impact you, so we can work together. But like I said, thank you to Councilmember Wharton, Mayor Pro Tem. I think there's progress being made. I hope you're considering. I know what you said right now, but I think where we're at today, I think combats that, mitigates that. So no, that's not falling on deaf ears. And although progress is not as fast as you or we may want, it's happening. It's happening. We're seeing it right here. We have levels, we have zones, we have ordinances right now in place, now not finalized, but they're there. You can see it. And so now it's just coming and fixing the details and collaborating and taking into consideration the business as well. And so, there's progress we made. Thank you to the council. Appreciate your efforts and look forward to what's coming next.
I think that the other difference, the difference too is that, you know, there wasn't outdoor venues like that before. It was fires, if you all recall, that caused that to happen. So buildings burned down, long time businesses that were there burned down, and so it created open air spaces. And you know, more recently 805's been introduced, so that's something that's not as old, right? And so it's that's why the city is constantly evolving. It's just a work in progress. The process is slow in government. It just is. It's not the fastest. You know, that's one frustration that I have. I come from the private sector, and the public sector is just much slower. But you also have to understand that the public sector is planning for decades. You know, in my business, I may not be in business in 2 years. You know, and the city plans on being here for 100 years or more. You know, and so it takes planning, and it takes a lot of time and commitment. So I do thank city manager and all the staff for putting the information together. I think there's a really, really good starting point at this point, and we've got really good information, and those things are being considered. So,
Mr. Ridge, all I wanted
Go
to
ahead.
do is make just
Please.
one comment. Thank you for the backup and the information and aggregating everything that happens. So obviously our PD has already acknowledged, and our city manager, very, very helpful. I've had this material since we published it, right, basically Friday. So that'll lead to my kind of suggestion. Would it make sense for all of us council members, now we've got some more information, right, to digest, hopefully some more, you know, community input, of course, which has been consistent. So I think balancing all that, giving us this period of time between now and the next council meeting to be able to come back maybe with some more direction as a council. Does that make sense? We get a couple weeks, right, to consider, you know, DB levels, just as I think council or our mayor pro tem was mentioning, this may be too high, this may be too low.
Yep.
But I think this gives us a starting point with some OSHA documentation at what these levels mean. I didn't know what it meant, you know, other than we all know loud music. We don't, you know, we know what silence is like, but when you start putting decibel levels to it, I think this has all been very helpful. So maybe the idea is the goal with the next council meeting, we can narrow the aperture and maybe with that give some firmer direction on how we'd like to see this and proceed from there. Maybe it can work its way to our city attorney.
maybe we can set a goal, that way there's a clear sense of a finish line for everybody, you know, for ourselves and for the public as well.
Yeah.
Can we set a goal as far as like the time frame that we would like to have everything finalized and completed? What's a good time frame for everybody here?
I mean, I think we have all the information we need at this point. We come back with some suggestions in November, and we could probably make a decision by December, I think.
Yeah.
Direction November 7th, have it again, another study session with some
I think that-
information coming back from
We'll
council.
Or maybe even suggestions on how we could test the system before it becomes real and live, and, because, you know, that would be useful.
I'd also
spot checking.
Right.
How to
Yeah,
go
if
back
I
to
could-
some of the spot, you know, unannounced, whatever the case may be, at these prime times, and as Ms. Goss alluded to, so that, you know, this is not, we could take several more readings, you know, if we can, at those times.
Yeah, I want to say, same thing, I want to echo those comments. First, thank you, Mrs. Goss. You have been and done this the right way. You have followed the process. You have come here multiple times, relentless. I appreciate that. You have addressed concerns with me, some of the comments that I made, right? And we've clarified them here. And you have always remained professional, and you have done your job the way it's supposed to be done without coming here and insulting us and calling us multiple names and you know, being childish. You're an absolute adult, professional, and I appreciate that. With that, I would like ask Chief if we could have Sergeant Garcia, perhaps, or any of the officers on staff that are on duty, when she calls, we can make a run up there, because she has a point, and it's valid. I believe that, you know, you have to be there, right? It could be high, low, okay, and then all of a sudden you get those bursts of loud music. One more item that I'd like to suggest now before then is that for any time, any of the limits that we set, if they are ever going to be exceeded, that they have to apply for a conditional use permit, along with notifying any residents that might be affected by that loud noise levels that are exceeded. So that's all I have, and thank you again.
It's an interesting approach.
Yeah. I mean, especially considering cattle calls coming up.
Right.
Those are events that people come and get, you know, special permissions for road closures or what have you. This is something along those lines that could also be thrown in there.
We're growing and we have to adjust,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And I think that's one of the frustrations is that we can't see into the future. I mean, we can speculate, and I think sometimes if you stop and think about a situation, sometimes you can see the problems that are coming down the pike. But I don't think any of us on council here could foresee, you know, without really having a study session ahead of this venue opening up, that this was going to be the result of it. But we've certainly learned lessons from it as far as moving forward with new venues that open up or new businesses that open up along these lines. And as Mayor Nava said, this was a business that was just trying to take advantage of a bad situation, you know, trying to make the best of a bad situation, a burned out set of buildings, you know. And going forward, we have a better idea of you know, what we need to require from businesses like this as they open up in the way of sound deadening or, you know, that kind of stuff, so that it doesn't just project out.
I agree.
When it's an indoor venue, it's a lot less, you know, of a nuisance to the people around. I think it's also interesting to note that in that color-coded map, really there's only one building that was pink, you know, a mixed-use building like that in the downtown specific area is the Ciudad Plaza. And we will probably have more mixed-use buildings in the future, maybe not right away, but in the future. And so these are all things that this council and future councils will have to take into consideration. But I think that in spite of the frustration and in spite of what seems like it's taking a long time, these are lasting ordinances, and so we have to try to figure it out from all angles. And stuff like this, it makes me just, every time we run into a situation where we have to make a decision and we labor over it, and it's not, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge deal, but we labor over it for months. I think of, you know, the Founding Fathers writing the Declaration of Independence, writing the Bill of Rights, and how they came up with this in such a short amount of time that has lasted for centuries. So I think a noise ordinance probably is not as important as those, but to the people that are suffering, it's probably just about as important. So.
Great, thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right, so it sounds like you do have some direction for city staff and everybody, so thank you very much. Appreciate your patience, thank you. All right, so we will move on to city council member reports, and we're going to start, today we'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Castro. How about that?
Well, I have great news, Mr. Mayor. I will leave my comments for the next meeting.
Wow. Right, well, thank you. We'll move on to...
Oh, real quick. I want to know why Councilmember Revelar is wearing bulldog colors here to Brawley City Council. He addressed it in his comments.
All right. We'll move on to Councilmember Wharton.
Indy Dwell, as many of you I'm sure will mention, was great to be at that ribbon cutting. I showed up a little bit late, but still nonetheless great to celebrate with my fellow council members and the entire Indy Dwell team. And then the only other thing, I'm ready to kind of reveal a name, but and I did get this permission, but I've been kind of telegraphing a little bit of what's maybe coming to an airport. But Mr. Mayor, you were maybe part of the early sort of conceptual discussion. It's happened pretty quick, but we may have an incoming new flight training center coming into the city of Brawley called Imperial Valley Flight Training. So
yes,
excited about that. More to go. Not going to completely steal the thunder, but again, they're a handful of folks, and I appreciate staff again. I know and accommodating. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. I know there's plenty going on. I do plan to be at many of the events, and hope to see you all there.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Revelar.
It's because we're gonna kick some collective bulldog butt on Thursday. Brawley plays them in the homecoming game. So
there you go.
Speaking of, goodbye, Ms. Goss. BUH flag football team on the Bell game on Saturday. First ever Bell game. Congrats. Look forward to that. I know Mayor Pro Tem Castro signed on that resolution. So once the season's over, looking, you know, first ever flag football season, first ever Bell game champs, hopefully first ever league champs. So also attended last week. Shout out to BUHS Hall of Fame class, the first ever. Saw a bunch of former coaches, teachers, classmates. So it was really cool to see really community together, Brawley football. You know, it's to see everyone come on a Friday night. It was really amazing. I do want to make, last meeting with a presentation, I don't know if it was last meeting, but Mr. Medina did the really presentation.
Councilmember,
Yeah.
you brought that up, good point. Want to point out that Mr., our city
Yeah,
manager's
he
daughter was
there.
part of
I
that
saw
too.
it,
So, yeah, that
I
was
saw
very
it.
cool.
Yeah, I saw it. Oh, yeah. Congrats.
And I actually have a daughter-in-law that also was
And then
a
your
part of
son's
that.
on, your son's on the sideline.
That's right,
Your
that's
son's
right.
on the sideline.
I wasn't going to mention
Yeah.
that, but.
He's really short shorts. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But Mr. Medina, you brought,
Quite an
you know,
observation.
you did a really good presentation on your street projects. I think I'd like to see other departments as well come forward. I think it was really enlightening and informative to see, you know, what's been done, where we're at, and what we have planned, and just kind of break it down. And I know there's been some attention on some departments, but I think presentations like that are a really great way to just show the work being done. Like the mayor said last meeting, so much is being done. Sometimes people don't know. How can we further, you know, inform the community at large? And so hopefully we can see more department presentations like the way he broke it down here, here, and here. And here's, you know, I just really enjoyed that
There
presentation.
will be,
Cool.
we're planning on that
Cool.
soon.
And then I know I shared it with Ms. Ortega, and I know I've talked with the chief, but there's still community benefits program funding being doled out. I write the press releases every other meeting, and I'm seeing every, you know, organization, different programs and different organizations. I encourage departments. I've shared it with Tyler. I know he's brought it up. I can get you connected with someone from the county to help, you know, assist, because $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. It might not. It's not in the long run. May not make a difference, but that's one-time funding. Every dollar counts, and so really hope we can get some of that funding, because I keep seeing everyone else seeming to get it. And then finally, I know they're not here, but Johnny on Wheels, I just want to give a special shout out. I'll be sending him this. Was going through some health issues, and I really just hope he's comes out of it better and stronger. So my thoughts are with Johnny on Wheels out there, and hopefully he can return home soon, and we can welcome him back. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Council Member Hamby.
Thank you, Mayor Nava. Just quickly, I was able also with a couple other council members and the mayor to attend the Indy Dwell ribbon cutting. Also a ribbon cutting at 413 Gym here in Brawley. We all got some communication from different community members regarding just some issues in signups for Parks and Rec, and at the meeting today, at our commission meeting, we discussed that issue, discussed ways to mitigate it, and ways that solutions have been found. And I think a lot of times what happens is you'll see the negative, you'll see the rants online, and then when the problems are solved or mitigated, or, you know, now we know what the problem is, and we address it, and we learn the lesson from it for future reference. A lot of times there's no retraction, there's no, hey, the problem was solved, thank you for that. So I do just want to commend Parks and Rec staff for trying to meet the needs. You know, there's an uptake process of new software systems or new sign-up systems, and there's going to be, you know, it's a learning curve, and there's going to be speed bumps in the road. But we are getting better, and the fact is that sometimes it's just we need more information, and we're getting that. So
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
No, needs to be said. Thank you
Absolutely.
for addressing the problem. Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to point that out, that when we hear there is a problem, a lot of times staff is already on it, and so we do appreciate the hard work that our different departments put in. Driving around the city, of course, you know, as cattle call approaches, there's a lot of effort put into trimming trees and cleaning different city surfaces that are going to be utilized for cattle call events. And this is an exciting time of year because of those events, and because it's cooling off, and because there's a lot more people and activity outside. So we're looking forward to all those events. I want to thank Councilmember Rebelar for filling in for me at the library board meetings. I know those are riveting, and there are a lot of things discussed in there that are important, but especially congratulations to Petra for the grant that you acquired for the library. And that's it for my report.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Hamby. And I do want to thank all city staff for all the work that you're doing. Do appreciate it very much. I know everybody's working hard, especially during this time of year where we're going to have a lot of community events. People are really excited. I've been talking to the chamber, and I do appreciate them having the appreciation luncheon for city staff and for all of us. That is great. This is the first annual time that they're going to be doing it. It just goes to show that that relationship has gotten stronger and stronger. In fact, the time that I've been on council, this is the best relationship that we've had in that time. So I'm happy to see it, and I'm happy to support it. So anything we can do to work together, let's certainly do that. A couple topics, real quick. I was presented the key to the country of Slowjamistan the other day. Key to the country, first ever. And so Slowjamistan, the Sultan, he presented it to me, and you know, he's an interesting character. He is a DJ, and he is syndicated to over 200 stations across the country. And so he has this, you know, this little, he calls it a micronation, but it's really, honestly, it's satire, and he uses it to promote what he does. He's actually traveled to every country around the world. He did that and he completed that project this May of this year. And he actually travels, he's making a film. He travels to other countries, been to Africa, and he set up water wells for villages. And so he's been able to do a lot of good with the work that he's doing. So a lot of fun, real nice people. They will be at this year's parade, so we'll see them there. But I know he's been in Brawley before, so. Anyway, it was a lot of fun, but he also helped promote Brawley, and he's got a pretty wide audience, so it's good stuff. Indie Dwell, fantastic. I mean, just a few months back, we were out at the groundbreaking, and now we're at the ribbon cutting. It's 105,000 square feet. They hope to have about 200 employees out there, and you know, they do plan on being functional and operational starting like in January. So I know they've had a few hiccups, but they're well on the way to make that happen. Very exciting, and I was honored to be able to be a speaker during their ribbon cutting, and that was just an honor for me. Just, you know, my relationship with the Benson family goes a long way, and I served with John Benson here on the city council back in 2007 and 8, and just good people. So I'm glad to see that they're helping develop and keeping opportunities here for people in Brawley. So another item was California Forward, which is I participated at an economic summit as a panelist, as one of the speakers there, and I participated with Ryan Kelly, Supervisor Ryan Kelly, large audience. It was really actually very good. You know, talked a lot about Brawley, what Brawley has to offer, just being very optimistic about our future and lithium development and those sorts of things. So got a lot of good feedback from people in the audience, and honestly, that is seen throughout the state of California. So a nice location, and hopefully we get some recognition from that, you know, in the form of just greater attention to our community and to development. There's a lot of people that want to develop out here, and I met a lot of them that day. I also got to meet the controller for the state of California, and that was, you know, she was actually really excited to meet me. And that was interesting because it was the Mayor of Brawley, and one of her staff members was from Brawley, and she said, you know, the deep fried quesadillas from Nana Dora's, that's what I love, you know. So she mentioned that in particular, so I thought that was pretty funny, but good stuff. I'm also really excited to announce this today, and that is Mayor for the Day. I'm working with the school district, the Brawley Elementary School District, and so I'm going to be doing a Mayor for the Day for November 7th. And so I've asked Councilmember Wharton for his assistance a little bit, and I plan on asking our police chief and our fire chief for their assistance as well. And so what we're going to do is I came up with this idea is based on what Alex Cardenas had done, and we helped him when he did Mayor for a Day in El Centro. And I called him up just to pick his brain. We walked through it for about 5 minutes, and I'm like, cool, I'll take care of it. So they'll write a short little paragraph. It's open to kids in the 5th grade through the 8th grade, you know, and anybody who's interested in public service or civic engagement. They write a short paragraph of why and what they would do as mayor, real short, and then the school district will make a selection, and we'll finalize it maybe between Councilmember Wharton and myself, and they'll select the top 3, no identifying information, so we won't know who we're picking other than we're reading their story. And once they're selected, they'll announce it, and hopefully we can get a fire station tour, a police station tour, and then we can maybe reach tour, maybe even up in the air, who knows, right? And so we can do that along with their parent, and just kind of give them the day in the life of, that evening, what we'll do is we'll open up the meeting, we'll put them on the agenda as the honorary mayor, we'll let them open it up and go through a few of the motions and just maybe, you know, it's just for civic engagement, and we'll have, you know, some press for them and that sort of stuff. But acknowledgement for their desire to try to serve their community. So anyway, that's exciting stuff. I'm excited about it. I hope staff is excited as well. I know it takes a little bit of your time, but it's a good way to help our youth, you know, just decide on what they want to do and lead with. So anyway, those are the updates that I have. Thank you all very much for listening. I know it's a little long, but
I'm glad I yielded my time.
there you go. And so next we'll hear from the city attorney.
So, Mr. Mayor, with your permission, we'll just do the closed session in public because it's
perfect. Let's do it.
Public. So, item B is a placeholder and nothing happened, so there's nothing to report. Item A, the report is the judge in the Vertical Bridge case has entered judgment in favor of the city on. So the contract case was dismissed with prejudice, and the judge entered a judgment, and the judgment says the city shall make a motion for fees and costs.
Beautiful.
So we'll see how much we get.
Right, we'll see how much, but hey, we won there. That's fantastic.
We won.
Well, thank you all very much for your patience. I know it's been a long one, but I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all very much. We'll see you again November 7th.
Yes. Been waiting so long to hear that news. Hey, Ty.